Very welcome to AviSys Aviation Systems. I take great pleasure in showing you around and telling you a little bit about what is in front of me here. What you see is a main landing gear of a King Air 350. It's a Beechcraft product. It's a complete overhaul for the 6-yearly 8,000 cycle inspection. That the complete leg assembly needs to be removed from the aircraft and completely teared down, paint stripped, media blasted and brought to the bare metal. Thereafter it gets NDT, which we call non-destructive testing, and to check the integrity of each and every single component to make sure that there are no cracks or anything of the nature or any other anomalies. It thereafter then gets completely repainted and treated. The hardware gets cadmium plated and aluminum parts get iodine treated before it can be covered with epoxy primer as well as the PPG top coat. In this sense, it is all aviation approved paints that is being used. The main leg assembly, as I can show you here, and how this oleo strut works. Oleo strut is typically an air and oil filled unit that gives the compression upon landing and absorbs the landing shock. So what you see is the oleo shock. This is the full extension, and under the weight of the aircraft as it lands, this chrome section will obviously compress, and by doing so compress the fluid and the nitrogen, which will dampen the landing shock. This gets mounted a set of brakes. There is 2 brakes on this unit. That's the example of the brake assemblies. 1 on each side. Each of them comprises of 2 rotors. And the rotors, these units, will be mating into the main wheel assembly's lugs. As the wheel is spinning up, the rotors will be turning, and as brake force is applied, pistons in the piston housing will compress the rotors and thereby applying a brake force to the aircraft. In order to prevent the landing gear from moving in under the load, we have a drag brace which can lock in the over center position as it is here, which will then give it a full lock, and the landing gear can withstand the force of landing without collapsing. When it gets retracted, the lock mechanism is pulled up against the springs and it folds down like that as the landing gear is cycling in the up position, up locked and retracted obviously for flight. So this is a typical drag brace for the main landing gear, and the nose landing gear that is in the background have exactly the same principle. This is just the nose landing gear drag brace. AviSys have recently acquired the capability to overhaul the Embraer Series 145, 135 landing gears to complement our already existing Embraer 120 landing gear complement that we can do, as well as the wheels, the brakes and so forth on that particular model. Now, it is a requirement of our clients. They were looking for a company in Southern Africa that could actually do that for them. They've asked if we can tool up, gear up for that. We've applied for the SACAA amendment audit, and we were successful in getting this as our latest complement, and looking very much forward to also assisting the rest of the African market in this particular range of landing gear overhauls. For the jets and turboprops and helicopters that have engine fire bottles fitted. This is a typical example of the Beech 1900 and also the BK117 and various of the helicopters that utilize exactly the same unit. So this is an engine fire bottle that AviSys have got capability to do the hydrostat pressure testing on, which is a 5-year requirement from SACAA for all pressure vessels, where we then submit the pressure vessel for proof test and testing to see that the integrity of the pressure vessel is still intact, and we then fill it again with the agent Halon 1301, charge it with nitrogen, service it with a new kit beforehand, and obviously release it to service so that it is fit for service for the next 5 years. There's various samples of these, each to its own application. The bigger the aircraft and the bigger the fire bottles typically. Over the past 11 years, AviSys have built up quite an extensive capability. In our capability list will typically reflect as such for the types of aircraft and the components that we actually do cater for. And that ranges from the PC-12, the Pilatus aircraft, various helicopters, all the way extensively catering for the Beechcraft products, the C-90s, the B-200s, 350s, the King Airs, the Beech 1900s, to name but a few, all the way up to Boeing as 727 and 737s alike. So we pride ourselves in delivering OEM standard of maintenance in accordance with OEM specifications, and obviously complying with SACAA accreditation that we need to conform to for our AMO.